Howdy, everybody. It's Wednesday, February 21st, U.S. It is What Chaos, presented by Prize Picks. DJ Bean, Sean DePaz here, and we got Pete Blackburn, a.k.a. Sick Nash, still on the mend, laying up in a sick bed like Paulie Walnuts' real mother.
Wow, that was a deep and lengthy nickname.
I'm gonna bring you some socks to be like, hey, what a nice nephew I am, and then you say, not a nephew, a son, and then I'm gonna say, forget it, and then I'm gonna be really mean to everybody in my family. I'm gonna throw a real fit and stink the last couple of seasons. Paul, I wasn't crazy about Paulie at the end of that show's run. Real attitude.
How much longer do you think we got of Sopranos references from you? Because you've just been hammering these, and I do love it, and I love when you can tell that somebody's in the middle of a rewatch because they just like all of a sudden you hadn't made a Sopranos reference for like
you get Mentionitis.
2 years, Mentionitis, and now you're just hammering it at any given opportunity.
I think I've reached the point in my life. I'm a 35-year-old man where I am always rewatching The Sopranos, and I have friends who have been like that, and I've been like, you don't ever want to check out any other show? Even if I've got other stuff going on, I'm pretty sure I'm always going to be rewatching The Sopranos, because the first thing I did after I finished my most recent watch was slowly keep chipping away at it. So I think I'm always going to be referencing it. I'll tell you what, you know who's always rewatching The Sopranos? Friend of the show, Tyler, a.k.a. Troll Withers.
Hell yeah.
That guy is always hammering Sopranos references online. He does two things online. He retweets gross things I don't totally understand, and he makes Sopranos references.
I love both those things.
Yeah. I love talking hockey, and that's what we're going to do today. We'll get to some grab ass at some point, I'm sure, but a lot going on in the hockey world. We're going to talk about a very good, as they say in The Sopranos, you know, they say the gravy's good. The gravy's good today. The trade rumors are good today. So we're going to talk about a bunch of those, but we must start with a goal of the year candidate and winner. I'm cool with ending the season right now, from Quinton Byfield, second overall pick in the 2020 draft. If you haven't watched the Kings this season, you might be wondering, what happened to that guy? Did he ever end up panning out? What's going on with him? The answer to any question you have about Quinton Byfield right now is hell to the fuck yes, because he scored an incredible goal late in the first period of the Kings win over the Blue Jackets last night. Jumps on a puck off the faceoffs, outraces Boquist through the neutral zone, then loses his stick and regains it as he keeps the puck through Zach Werenski as he's going to the net, finishes with a backhand on Elvis Merzlikins. Pete, 3 people fucking died.
That's the biggest part for me, is that to truly have a highlight reel goal, like an elite highlight reel goal, you need somebody who just feels a world of shame coming away from it. At least one person. And that's like my biggest problem with the Michigan, I think, is that it's hard to find somebody that is going to die of shame after you hit a Michigan. The only time that is involved with a Michigan is if the person attempting it does not hit the Michigan, and they're the one that feels the shame. But like Zach Werenski was so mad that he got his life snatched away from him by Quinton Byfield on this sequence. And like, for me, this goal hits God tier for a few different reasons, and it checks a lot of boxes. Like, the end-to-end rush is necessary for a God tier goal. I think that you've got to have a defender, at least one defender, getting embarrassed. And then like a falling desperation sort of finish is just mwah. And then you had a couple other things in the mix there that made me so happy. You had a very slick skate to stick play, which was unbelievable. And then I think like the most underrated part of this highlight is the stick lift of Werenski as Byfield regains control and regains possession of the puck. The quick little stick lift to be like, get the fuck out of here, and then buries it. Oh my God. 100 out of 100 goal for me.
So I agree that was sick. I don't agree that it's the most underrated part of it, because my description of the goal was the first one that hasn't gushed over that stick lift. All they did after on the replay and everything was like, oh, look at this right here. Oh, he lifts the stick. Oh, he lifts the stick. Oh my God. Yeah. All anyone talked about was that fucking stick lift.
I was too busy cleaning up bodily fluids to listen to whatever the announcers were saying after that goal. I essentially like entered into a blackout stage for 5 minutes after that goal happened.
It's definitely the goal of the year. I don't want to see another candidate. There's no Michigan that can happen. I thought about like what could have made it better, and my only answer was he goes into the net, gets the puck back, and then does a Michigan to like celebrate and further spike the football, which at that point you're playing against the Columbus Blue Jackets. I like the roster. They're having a down year. At that point, people would say, okay, you insulted them a little bit. With the celebratory Michigan, you insulted them a little bit. Last night was the most NBA Twitter, NHL Twitter has felt, because it did have a little bit of, oh, so-and-so got posterized. And I hate that it was Zach Werenski, because we're a Zach Werenski podcast. But there often isn't a lot of, holy fuck, this man got his soul taken away from him in hockey the way that it happens in other sports. If you get burned as a defensive back in the NFL, it's all anybody's talking about. If you miss a tackle, everybody's laughing at you. In the NHL, they really don't do that too much. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, this goalie sucked, but then you get yelled at for complaining about the goalie. This was a not necessarily rare, but not super common moment in which a player made an incredible play and people were like, wow, this guy's next stage of life is now going to be different because of what just happened to him. I hate that it was Zach Werenski, but I do like that it happened in the NHL.
Yeah, well, number one, like people who aren't hockey fans on the timeline were posting that highlight being like, holy shit, maybe I should start tuning into this sport. So I love whenever that happens. But also on the Werenski thing, maybe not like the worst thing in the world for him, because as he told us, a lot of people claim that he doesn't look like he cares, doesn't look like he tries. And he looked like he tried, unfortunately, on that play. But it also looked like he cared, because he got mad after the fact. He did the old Morgan Riley, which is, hey, I care that you just embarrassed us, but instead of cross-checking you in the face, I'm going to smash my stick all over the boards on the way to the bench.
Sean, play it.
Toronto Maple Leafs. Get off the Toronto Maple Leafs.
We just reloaded this today, so every time we mention anything involving the Maple Leafs, we're going to hammer that. I loved it. I also love that it yielded, and I don't have the tweet in front of me. I can pull it up, but I love that it yielded a PK Subban Googled Quinton Byfield moment, which was very great. Yeah, I got it right here. PK Subban tweeted, and again, he was the 2020 second overall pick. Subban tweets, for all the fans and hockey experts that are critical of players coming into the best league in the world at 18, 19, or even 20, these are boys. Not all of them develop at the same rate. This is a perfect example of an organization trusting the process. As you can see now, the result is a lot of guys reaching and Quinton teaching. My goodness. And that's a big man. Goal of the year candidate? For sure. PK Subban saw this and was like, wow, who's that guy? And then he was like, oh, Byfield. Was Byfield? Yeah, he was the kid that went like, I forget what year it was, Googled him, was like, yeah, he went second overall. So he did end up being good. And then after Googling him, he saw that he was like 6'5" or whatever he is. He was like, and he's tall? Damn, I got some stuff to say about this. God bless, PK. Not only did you see the goal, you Googled the player after. Mwah.
Yeah, and it didn't come like 4 days after the fact. So steps in the right direction for PK Subban. Also, like, if you're just arriving now to, Quinton Byfield, it turns out he's actually good, you haven't been paying attention this year. He's been awesome basically this entire year.
That was my point. I don't think that PK had to Google who Quentin Byfield was. I think it, like I mentioned DJ before the show, I think it was just like his Oilers take. He knew exactly who they were. Well, not exactly who they were. He knew who they were. His take on them was just like a year old. He hasn't watched them in a year. So for as far as he knows, the Oilers don't know how to play defense, and Quentin Byfield is still bad at hockey. And then all of a sudden he tunes in. He's like, oh, they can play defense, and this kid's actually kind of good.
So Byfield, who, I mean, we know his career started kind of slow. This is his third full season. He had 5 goals as a rookie, 3 last season, underwhelming. But this season, 18 goals, 24 helpers, 42 points in 52 games. He's playing on the third line, and he's like probably, I want to say like 5th or 6th in time on ice among Kings forwards. But right now he's playing on the third line with Pierre-Luc Dubois. And if you want to sort by not the problem for the Kings this season, he's near the top. Like, if there's positives from this messy Kings season, it's that, yeah, the guy you took second overall is not only worth the first round pick, but especially in that draft, probably worth a top 5 pick. I know that was the Lafreniere draft. He went first overall. Rangers probably would have liked to make a different choice there. Tons of wings at the top of that draft. But if I'm looking at that draft right now and I'm the Kings, I'm probably not changing anything with what I did. Stützle went third. He probably should have gone first in hindsight. But other than, like, if I'm doing a redraft, I'm having the Rangers take Stützle and I'm still having the Kings take Byfield. They should be satisfied customers right now.
Yeah, like tough draft at the top in terms of lacking a real sort of, from what we've seen in recent years, like obviously at the top, that draft doesn't have like a Connor Bedard or,
No
a real
franchise
kind
center.
Right. But like that draft also has a lot of good players that, like, there's Seth Jarvis in there. There's Cole Perfetti. Like even Brock Faber was taken by the Kings in like I think 45th overall.
Oh, we'll talk about him.
Yeah, we will.
Drysdale top 10.
JJ Peterka in that draft as well, further down the list. So like some good players
Now
coming
he's
out
going
of
to
that
get
draft.
traded, so
Yeah, maybe. So we'll see. But yeah, by the way, you mentioned Pierre-Luc Dubois starting to string together some really nice games. So the Kings have been turning things around, and I think PLD is a pretty big reason for that. 6 points in his last 6 games. He had a big game last night, 2 goals. So like him and Byfield look pretty good together.
my only knock on Byfield is that he's a bad teammate. Pierre-Luc Dubois had 2 goals last night. Revenge game. He should have been the story of that game. And here comes hot dog Mick Byfield coming in here saying, hey, look, I'm not even going to give you a chance to score any of your goals yet. I'm going to open the scoring tonight with this look at me, flashy, I got to pick on poor Zach Werenski goal. So, bad teammate, good player.
Byfield did have the primary assist on PLD's second goal. Nice little pass to the middle of the ice. So
stat humper.
They're working pretty well together, and I like that. I like that line.
Okay, we got some news, and Sean, I want you hammer and drops during this. The Morgan Riley suspension was upheld. A lot of people crying about that. We had Alan Walsh, friend of the show. A lot of Lisi was, of course, it's a joke, blah, blah. We don't do hit chat. We do chit chat. Morgan Riley, you know what you did. It's bad behavior. You shouldn't have done it. So you sit out. Whatever.
Get off the Toronto Maple Leafs.
That's the Morgan Riley news. Pete, you said you have a groundbreaking idea for like spikes and or YouTube subs?
Yeah, so, I mean, let's get our like spike going here first, because 3, 2, 1, like spike. Everybody in the chat, hit that like button, give us a thumbs up, and spike those likes. But my idea for maybe driving some new people to the YouTube is, you know how on Twitter, a lot of people have been doing that thing like, oh, you must be sick if you like big booty bitches. And then everybody quote tweets it with like a screenshot of that monkey in the hospital with the tubes up its nose.
You know that I love that fucking screenshot.
Right.
Man,
everybody's starting to do that shit now. So I need Sean to go on our Twitter page and just tweet out, you must be sick if you're subscribed to the What Chaos YouTube channel. And then everybody that's in the channel here right now needs to go to Twitter and quote tweet it with a screenshot or something of somebody in the hospital.
Sean, I don't know if you heard what I just heard, but I heard the best idea I've ever heard in my life.
You just want me to tweet, you must be sick if you're subscribed to What Chaos? The What
Yes,
Chaos
with
YouTube
the
channel?
link. With the link to the YouTube. You must be sick if you are subscribed to the What Chaos YouTube channel. Everybody in the chat has to go throw just like either whether it's the I lived bitch meme with that guy in the hospital or the monkey with the tubes up its nose.
No, Richard Head has the best one. It's the guy lunging at the podium to say wood.
But that's not it's not the joke. The person has to be sick or like hospitalized.
Okay, so I was going to say, straight up, I don't get the joke, but I just think it's so funny that we're going to see that meme because I'm always down for that.
Right.
I
And
was workshopping.
It's a good way to just bait some quote tweets to spread it to an audience that may not otherwise see the What Chaos YouTube page.
This is a very, very great idea. I like it. There's Fanatics update, by the way. Did you see the Mariners player
Kyle Raleigh.
Yeah, with the see-through pants.
with the see-through pants? I was
Nike
going to
and
do
Fanatics.
the Jane Lynch meme, and it was just going to be MLB players this season, and then the Jane Lynch meme. All the text would be changed to my penis is showing.
I was gonna tweet last night. I was gonna quote tweet the video of that Mariners player and say MLB and or Fanatics said we're about to show dick this season.
That is
And
literally
just
what I said
decided-
this morning.
Yeah,
you?
right. He was like,
I was like, MLB players about to be showing dick.
we're showing dick this season. Sorry, Quentin Byfield in the NHL. You had one cool moment with the goal, but the MLB has thought of they found their trump card, and it's the penis.
Growing the game.
It's I don't know if you
Game
saw the
show
most
that
recent
penis.
episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Showing balls is a big part of that. I don't love this
You
season.
You
I just
didn't like it? I like the last two episodes. I thought the last two episodes have been pretty good.
Well, you know what I like? I
Uh,
like daily fantasy sports.
Oh, yes.
And sometimes I'm thinking, do I play daily fantasy today? Do I hop in? Do I tap in? I don't know. I'd like to make some picks, but what will my prize be? And then my Gumar says, DJ, you should play prize picks. And I say thank you to my Gumar because when it comes to daily fantasy sports, there's nothing like prize picks. Hope everyone enjoyed a nice Taco Tuesday last night. Well, what say we keep the party going this evening? Did you know Prize Picks offers injury insurance? So maybe you got Jack Eichel going. You want to do some LTIR shenanigans? Who knows? Prize Picks offers injury insurance so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player projection won't count against you and the rest of your entry stays live. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. I will tell you what, when some of these places started popping up, some of these DFS places, a lot of old school, I know that there's certain terminology we can't use here. A lot of old school, we'll say sports enjoyers and app and website users got mad that places offered these sorts of things because they'd say, hey, your guy loses, you lose. Them's just the breaks. Well, to those people, I say sorry because Prize Picks is looking out for its players and all of its entries. Prize Picks is really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. And with some of the slates going on tonight, Pete, I just might be busy on that app. I swear. I just might be. So go to prizepicks.com/whatchaos and use code whatchaos for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/whatchaos and use code whatchaos. Daily fantasy sports made easy. As I said, Peter, how are we doing on that meme, by the way?
I'm seeing some pretty good ones already.
Okay, have you tapped in?
I have not tapped in yet, but there's some good ones.
Okay,
There's
well,
SpongeBob looking very, very ill with his eyeball literally rolling down his body. there's a woman who appears to be hooked up to her laptop via IV. So there's some good ones.
All
right
right. So I did not know that this SpongeBob thing existed. I just retweeted that. Do we think this yields us, let's say, over under half a subscriber?
Over.
I hope
Or,
over. But even if this is just a for love of the game thing, we got time to fill, man. We do 4 shows a week.
That's right.
We this grab ass is needs a little elbow grease. So I'm down with this bit one way or another. As I said, the gravy was good last night on Insider Trading. I don't know if everybody saw, but they had the insiders, Chris Johnson, Darren Drager, Pierre LeBrun, the regulars, the usual suspects, saying what might be happening ahead of Friday, March 8th's trade deadline. And we'll talk about cap space in a little bit, but teams generally don't have cap space this season. It could be a boring trade deadline. They were saying that there's some thought that there might be a lot of wait and see with the moves that end up happening. But once they do, it could be juicy. Let's hit
That's
these
interesting, though. That's interesting, though, because Greg Wyshynski just put out a thing saying that this trade deadline could be fucking electric.
Saw that and disagree with that. Like if I'm betting on one of these, I'm betting on the fact that teams don't have cap space. And I know that he's citing somebody, but those guys are citing people too.
Well, I mean, yeah, the cap space thing is interesting, and so is the fact that I feel like a lot of teams just don't have their first round pick for this year, and some of them for next year. And we'll probably talk about some of those, but I also don't think that there's like super big prizes this year at the deadline. Like the 2 big centers have already moved, so it may not be like the most exciting trades, but there could be a lot of trades.
Chris Johnson on Noah Hannafin. Flames might make another push to sign the 27-year-old defenseman, but, quote, increasingly likely he'll be traded. All these are the only things that they actually said, I'll say in quotes. He's got an 8-team no-trade list. They're not all Canadian teams. Believed his preference is to sign his next deal in the U.S. Tampa believed to be in on him with Sergachev out. That's probably the most likely destination for him. If they get Noah Hannafin, that feels like a Tampa deal. They go after these American defensemen at the deadline.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, that would make a lot of sense, especially with Sergachev. They have the money now with the LTIR. By the way, did you know that Brent Seabrook is on the Lightning's LTIR?
No. Hilarious.
That's pretty hilarious, yeah. It's his final year on the last
Stanley Cup
LTIR.
Pedigree, though.
It's true.
It's a cup winner. You want him back there. I don't care too much about Hannafin right now. What I do care about is Darren Drager on the Oilers. Edmonton.
Wait. Before you go on, before you move on from Hannafin, because I've shifted my priority as a Bruins fan to the idea of Noah Hannafin being in the Bruins, because I think that would be a good fit as well. And yeah, like it. Obviously, the Bruins don't have a ton of cap space. They don't have a whole lot of draft capital either. But like, you could theoretically piece together a deal for Noah Hannafin if you're the Bruins, and I think that Noah Hannafin would enjoy playing in Boston guy. But I also think that if you go trade for Noah Hannafin, you're giving yourself a real possibility to re-sign him over the summer.
No, if they trade for Noah Hannafin, they sign him the next day. They do what they did with Hampus Lindholm. And I think that the way that they would do it would just be putting Hampus Lindholm on LTIR for the rest of the season. And there you go. Presto changeo.
I don't know, though, because Hannafin seems like he's pretty intent on going to market. I don't know if that's just a Calgary Flames kind of thing, where if you play for the Calgary Flames, you're pretty intent on seeking out free agency. But yeah, I mean, I feel like the Bruins would feel pretty good about their opportunity to re-sign him if they traded for him.
Yeah, I don't know if I totally want them to, because I think that contract could be big, and they're not. People are very down on Lindholm this season. That was a good move for them to make. That paid off in spades. I know that they didn't go far the first year, and they didn't go far last year, but they were really able to solidify the future of their back end at a time where they did not have prospects back there. I just don't know if that's where they're going to keep committing money. Darren Drager on the Oilers. Edmonton wants a forward to play with Draisaitl, but they're also considering Adam Henrique for third line center. And buddy, I love that. Henrique is 34. He's having a good season. Yeah, he's old, but he can play center and left wing, which is basically every forward on the Oilers. If you get Adam Henrique, then you've got Draisaitl, the Nuge in Henrique, who you can all slide around and use interchangeably as either a second or third line center, or play on the wing with McDavid, or play on the wing with whomever. I like loading up. That's like an old school Bruins move of just get a bunch of fucking centers, figure it out later. I think that would be a very, assuming it doesn't cost a ton, it would be a very prudent move if they could add Adam Henrique.
The cost of Adam Henrique is going to be fascinating to me because, like I said, the top two centers that were on the board have already fallen off the board, and now Henrique is the prize center. And, you know, I was big on Henrique before. I don't know if I would pay what it's going to ultimately take to get Adam Henrique. But my bigger question to you, and like, I don't hate the idea of him to Edmonton, but would you like prefer Henrique to Edmonton over like a Vladimir Tarasenko or a Jake Gensel? Like, of those three guys, who moves the needle most for you as a guy that could go there?
Is Gensel alive?
Gensel is alive. Like, he's hurt right now, but they can still trade him, and I expect them to still trade him.
Okay, anything middle six-ish for the Oilers, I'm totally on board. They have their first and second round picks this year. They don't have next year's second, and I don't think they have a third or a fourth this year. But a lot of these teams either don't have money or don't have picks to move. Oilers aren't totally in that situation. They might have to get a little creative on the money front, but guys can be double retained or something to figure that out. As long as they add a forward, I'm happy. If I were to rank them, I think I go Tarasenko last.
I feel like Tarasenko would be such a good fit though. Like, he would just he's obviously,
it'd be Kane again, kind of.
Yeah, right. Like, you buying low and getting a guy who can just score a bunch of goals for you. Like, I would like to see Tarasenko there.
Tarasenko this year has Tarasenko this year has 15 goals, 22 assists, 37 points in 51 games. 32
There's
years
no way
old.
that he doesn't score 1 billion goals if he goes to Edmonton.
Right. And I guess it's just a matter of, like, do you want versatility? And if I'm the Oilers, you already have enough super duper high end talent. I think having a really difficult to play against, like, third line, and that doesn't mean like they're gonna wear you down and they're gonna push you around and everything, but just like steady Eddie in the playoffs, that shit goes a long way. I think I'm circling Henrique for the Oilers.
Really? Okay. I mean,
he's been around.
It's definitely not the most boring option, and I like.
What's
Adam
the most
Henrique
boring
a lot
option to you?
there. Well, the most boring option is that they don't do anything. But you know, I don't know. Like, I guess they're not. None of them are boring options.
Gensel.
I just like the idea of the Oilers loading up.
Yeah, sheesh. Gensel already has 22 goals this season.
He's having a good year.
He's, I mean, over a point a game player, which is funny because one of my favorite things from this insider trading is Pierre LeBrun says the Penguins will be in, quote, sell mode to some degree. Dubas listening on, quote, pretty much everyone other than, quote, core guys, which the only guy that he named was Riley Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if Riley Smith is the guy that you're trading, you're not in sell mode.
Right. Oh, you mean,
like, I love Riley Smith. That guy gets traded every year no matter what.
Yeah, that's not true. He spent quite a bit of time.
He gets traded every 2 years. He goes to a place, has an awesome first year with them, signs a new contract with them, and then
He was in Vegas for like 5 years.
He was in Vegas so Vegas is where he stuck around for a while. And now we see.
He's not quite the journeyman that you're making him out to be. Like, Anthony Duclair is the guy who gets traded every 2 years.
1, 2, 3, 4. He's on his 5th team.
So he's what? Florida, or no? Boston,
Dallas, Boston,
Florida,
Vegas.
Yeah, but he's like, yeah, okay. I mean, he's not Anthony Duclair.
I don't say journeyman with him. I say he gets traded a lot.
Okay.
And I know that those are kind of shades of gray. Like I'm not Stempniaking the poor guy.
Somebody said Boone Jenner would be my dream ad for the Oil. There's no way that the Columbus Blue Jackets even consider trading Boone Jenner. And it's not because that like they shouldn't. It's because nobody loves Boone Jenner like the entire organization of the Blue Jackets.
The Blue Jackets are under the impression they have something with Boone Jenner, which is very sweet of them. I told you the other day, we like joking about that. I would not trade Boone Jenner for hockey reasons. He makes $3.75 million a year for, I want to say, 2 more years after this. That's a fucking awesome contract. If that team turns it around, that's a good piece to have as you're doing that. If you're going to get a haul for him, if you want to say, okay, a lot of the good pieces up front have already been moved, we're now going to come in and add someone who is going to be at the top of that list given his contract and term, sure, get a ton for him. But if I'm the Blue Jackets, we talked about it when they fired Yarmo, I'm not thinking because we're bad, we have to just trade a bunch of guys. If you don't have a bunch of guys to trade, don't trade a bunch of guys.
And they also need older players on that team. Like that team is so young. You can't just have a bunch of young guys out there running around like assholes and playing however they want. Like you need more guys like Boone Jenner, not fewer of them.
So I love how this turned out. We're like, hey, Blue Jackets, take the Boone Jenner out of your mouth for a fucking second. You're so obsessed with them, and then like 5 seconds later, we're like, if only they had 5 more Boone Jenners, they would be awesome.
But here's the thing: if they had 5 more Boone Jenners, they wouldn't be obsessed with the one Boone Jenner that they have.
That's fair. Actually,
They'd
I don't know if it is, but I like it
a little bit.
I like it. Sean, have we gotten more subscribers off of Pete's Gambit?
No.
Not crazy about that. I think that's on the it's on the listeners and the subscribers. Do what you can, folks, to fill us out there. He also says, Pierre LeBrun, the Panthers want to add a top 9 forward, but they don't have the traditional assets. They don't have a first rounder until 2026. Whatever. Those picks were moved in good enough deals. Giroux, Matthew Tkachuk. Then what else do we have? Coyotes, happy to move Dumba, says Chris Johnson and Zucker. More draft picks. They have 20 draft picks over the first 3 rounds the next 3 years. Sean, you studying up or what, bud?
Studying up on what?
All these guys they have to take.
Oh, I leave that to the fine people over at PHNX Coyotes. Although I will say, for the last 2 years, I have hosted the PHNX Coyotes draft show. So
you're a fraud.
If you want to talk about the last couple of drafts, I am a fraud because Leah prepares all the information for me, and then I look very smart for 4 hours. I very much appreciate it. I was going to say, by the way, because I know we're a big pronunciation podcast, it's Zucker. It's not Zucker. It's
Zucker. Yeah.
Fun fact.
It is Zucker.
The Coyotes saying that they'd be happy to trade Matt Dumba and Jason Zucker is like,
that's
no
what I was
fucking
gonna say.
Shit.
Matt Dumba,
shit.
They picked up Matt Dumba thinking he was going to be like Shane Gostisbehere, I think, where he would kind of rebound after a year and then be able to trade him, and that was just kind of the opposite of what happened. He just has not been great.
I could see Dumba being a guy that goes to like Toronto, and the Leafs think they fucking landed a big fish.
Sean?
Get off the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Burn.
We need to like harness the power of AI to just recognize whenever we mention the word Toronto or Maple Leafs and have that play automatically.
Or crying or anything that gives context to us having a conversation about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Drager also says the Stars, Red Wings, and Devils are all in on defensemen. Stars want to add a veteran right defenseman such as Chris Tanev. I think a lot of teams want to add Chris Tanev this year. How about him?
Tanev screams Dallas Stars.
Yeah.
Just
where'd that veteran go? Dallas.
Yeah. Or that old kind of gritty defenseman. Oh, yeah. Dallas Stars.
Where'd he go? Dallas. It's the old hockey cliche. Last thing I want to talk about with the trade deadline is the Knights put Jack Eichel of that bad knee of his on LTIR. He hasn't played since January 11th. This gives them $10 million in cap relief. They now have $8.53 million in cap space. And wouldn't you know it, as soon as certain teams put certain players with certain money on LTIR, everybody cries, they're cheating, they're circumventing the cap, because if you are unaware, there is no salary cap in the playoffs. So theoretically, and I say theoretically, even though this actually happens all the time, you can put a player who makes a ton of money on LTIR for the rest of the regular season and then go over the salary cap by however much money they're making. Then, at the beginning of the playoffs, activate the initial injured player, and bam, now you are icing a roster way richer and way more expensive than would be allowed during the regular season. A recent example of this is the Vegas Golden Knights. They put Mark Stone on LTIR last year. He didn't play after January 12th and then was activated for game 1 of the playoffs. Famously, or perhaps infamously, the Tampa Bay Lightning did this. They got a lot of shit for it, doing it with Nikita Kucherov, even though I think people were lazy and didn't realize Blackhawks would do that shit.
Yeah,
they did it.
Yeah.
I guess
Lightning are doing it again. By the way, they broke Sergachev's body and threw him out there.
That was for sure an LTI. That was for sure a cap maneuver.
I love the idea of turning. I mean, it sucks because it involves somebody getting seriously hurt and like horrible to look at. But like seeing a guy's leg like on backwards and being like, "Oh, they're circumventing the cap," is a very
as soon
funny
as they
bit.
announce that they put them on LTI. Oh, what a surprise! Oh, so Tampa's coming to some money. I mean, I feel like that's how people kind of feel anyway. Every time that there's a team puts a player on LTIR, and since I built up a head of steam with this, I guess I'll just finish the thought. I have never been mad at teams for doing this maneuver. This is
not illegal.
A rule. This is not, or this is within the rules. You are not pulling any trickeration. You are doing something you're allowed to do. Your issue is with the CBA and the league and the Players Association and all that shit. You're allowed to do this. Every team, not every team, but tons of teams do it regularly because you can do it. If Jack Eichel doesn't play again the rest of the regular season, that's a fucking real disadvantage the Knights are putting themselves at. That's a risk that they're running.
Right.
So,
and like for last year, if you saw Mark Stone and his issues and his timetable put him back, like being ready to maybe get back in the lineup 2 or 3 weeks before the season ended, and you don't look at that and say, we can convince him to stay on the shelf for another 2 weeks and really help our team. You're an idiot if you're running a team and you're not doing that.
Yeah, I think we're pro circumvention boys. I don't even like the term circumvent though, because I know what that word means. I'm no Joe Bluth over here, but circumvent
Has a stigma to it.
Right. Circumvent implies that you're being an asshole. And I don't think you're being an asshole if you're doing that. You're taking an option that is there for you to take.
I agree. And if like I believe that the statement, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, that sort of, I believe in that, but this isn't even cheating. It's within the rules.
Okay, well, let's get to something very important. I say this will be weekly, but who knows? Maybe we'll forget about it and not do it. The listeners have taken to, I don't want to say they've taken to Fraud Watch. Really, the only thing that they've seemed to jump onto is Asshole Watch, which was just kind of a tag on the idea of Fraud Watch. But we're going to do Fraud and Asshole Watch. We're doing it on Wednesday because there's a lot of Tuesday games. So Wednesday is a good day to overreact to stuff and make grand declarations as to who's on Fraud Watch, who's a fraud, who's on Asshole Watch, and who's an asshole. I will say right out the gate, the Canucks, after taking an early lead against the Avalanche, blowing it, they could have tied it late. We'll talk about that in a second. losing their third straight. The Canucks are assholes. Not
yes.
on asshole watch. They were on asshole watch entering last night's game. I bet them to make myself more emotional about all this, and they lost. So I'm officially making them assholes.
They have lost 3 games in a row for the first time this year, and I will add on to that asshole watch Filip Hronek, because Filip Hronek in the third period in a 2-1 game had an opportunity like in the high slot with basically a wide open net, had an opportunity to just throw the puck at the net, probably would have scored, probably would have tied the game, but instead Filip Hronek wound up for a clapper and added like 2 seconds onto his release. By the time he got the clapper off, shot was blocked. Canucks still losing. That was an incredible decision. Maybe the shot would have been blocked either way, but I'll tell you what, he had a much better chance of finding the back of the net if he didn't wind up for a clapper there. And Filip Hronek, the same guy earlier this season that allegedly had that slapper that registered at like 114 miles an hour. And we were like, bullshit, absolutely no chance. And so I think Filip Hronek is too deep into his shitty slapshot bag. And that's something that is hard for us to say because we love slapshots, and we love slapshots on empty nets, but not in this case. Not in the case where you have an opportunity to tie the game.
So I was going to say I will not allow a player to be called an asshole for taking a slap shot, but I was watching that game, did have money on it, and did do this when he took that slap shot. So it was stupid. I think asshole watch is appropriate. That's a good use of asshole watch. He's not necessarily an asshole. It's, hey, we've noticed you really like your fucking slap shots, man. Don't make slap shots not cool.
Right.
Don't make slap shots a detriment.
Has Ridley Gregg ruined the beautiful game that we love so much? Have to start asking the question.
I bet Brock Faber last night to score a goal. I don't know why. Somebody tweeted at me as a joke, so I tagged Sean and said, yes, okay, let's do it. Sean replied with Santa Claus saying he doesn't care if I do it, but it's bad behavior. He had an empty net on a power play, I want to say, and missed it. I'm going to put Brock Faber on asshole watch. He's not an asshole, but Brock Faber is on asshole watch. Do we have any frauds?
I feel like Brock Faber is more suited for fraud watch.
I actually agree.
Yeah, he's more
I might move him
watch.
to.
As soon as he only seems to find his game when Connor Bedard's out of the league. And now as soon as Connor Bedard came back, Brock Faber has turned into a pumpkin.
And rookie point race update, he's been tied by Marco Rossi. So,
By his teammate.
yeah, he might get dropped out of the top 2.
I was watching that power play last night and I was like, stop passing it to Rossi, you idiot. Don't you care about anything? Don't you understand how hockey works? You're supposed to score, you loser. Yeah, fraud watch I think is fair. I'll be honest. So I made a graphic for this where there's like pedestals and there's a step that's fraud watch and then above it is frauds. And then there's a one that's asshole watch and above it is assholes. My initial thought was we were just always going to leave fraud watch and frauds blank and then just load up assholes and asshole watch and then put some cup contenders below. But I think fraud watch is fair for Brock Faber because he got this, he was this little hotshot putting up a few points while Connor Bedard was out for 14 games. And now that the spotlight's on him, he doesn't have what it takes.
That's right.
Brock Faber, apologies there.
More
I
like
don't really
Croc
have any.
Faber.
What's that?
Said more like Croc Faber.
What a crock that guy is, huh?
That's right.
The Panthers beat the Senators. Sergei Bobrovsky goes after Brady Tkachuk. Asshole watch, Sergei Bobrovsky and Brady Tkachuk. It was way cooler when Spencer Martin and Connor Bedard did it. Get your own thing.
I don't like when two good players fight. I like when a goalie goes after a player and one of them's a little shitty, like Spencer Martin.
I was making the point before the show. I hate when goalies go after position players. Like the only time I want to see a goalie fight is if another goalie, because then you're just a dude in twice as much padding going after other skaters. Like they're not going to do anything to you. Like
but that's how like 90% of goalie fights start.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like
it's
fine if it's means to the end, right? And then you get the other goalie involved. But if the other goalie just stays on the other end of the ice, then you're just kind of a loser. I get that, like, you need to defend yourself if you're getting run by skaters. Like, go for it. I don't have a problem with that, but it's not cool to me. Like, you're just, like I said, you got twice as much padding on as everyone else. You're not really, like, it's not much of a fair fight.
But I don't hold that against them. Like, I like the goalies being a little,
I appreciate
being feisty.
Yeah,
like that I don't think that. I think it's lamer to have your defensemen always stick up for you or your skaters always stick up for you as a goalie, because they know that you're like the quarterback of on the ice where you can't touch them.
Like, Connor Bedard's never going to fight, and he shouldn't. Like, you've got guys for that. That's what makes hockey fun to me, is like somebody, it's like pitching at somebody, throwing at somebody because the other pitcher threw at you. Like, you got jobs here. Goalie's job is not necessarily to stick up for himself. Like, you got other people to do that, and it's actually like, when it's a fair fight, I think you actually prove a point. If the goalie just starts throwing punches and then immediately gets separated, it's like, I appreciate you standing up for yourself, but it's not that cool to me.
How many years do you think it takes before we get our first Connor Bedard fight in the NHL?
I don't think it will ever happen.
You don't think he's ever going to fight? He's going to fight at some point. Everybody,
sure, it's the NHL. He will, but like, if you're like that is a failure of everyone else on that roster. Like, if Nick Foligno was on his line and Connor Bedard is fighting, like, that's a failure on Nick Foligno, in my opinion.
He's an adult at some point. He's like a young adult right now, but he's an adult. He's allowed to make his own decisions. If he wants to fight at some point, he can fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, we talked about it yesterday. I like Connor Bedard having a little bit of an edge to a game. It would be cool if he did, but everyone else in that organization should not want him fighting at any point.
I am famously known for liking my hockey takes libertarian, so I'm siding with Pete on this, because I like Pete saying what Connor Bedard chooses to do on the ice against a consenting combatant is not Nick Foligno's concern, even though he is literally being paid.
I was going to say, he's on the roster for that.
He is literally being paid $4.5 million. This is his $4.5 million concern. But I like a libertarian hockey take. That's not to actually bring politics into hockey. We were talking about betting on stupid things before the show, Sean, such as betting on Brock Faber to score a goal.
Yeah, you're well within your right to do it. It's not good behavior, but I'm not going to stop you.
That's a libertarian hockey take. I've got some cup contenders. I want to say
also that, like, I feel like every player should at least get one. I don't know how it would work, but like skaters should get like a card that they can use to fight a goalie like once a year, and they get to play that card. I just want to see how many fights like Jordan Binnington would be involved in. Like, Jordan Binnington butt-ended somebody earlier this week, and if that happens, the player should get to pull out like it's a yellow card or a red card, and they just pull it out of their pants and be like, "Okay, I'm fighting this motherfucker."
So you're saying a glove?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
A glove? No.
Yeah, Sean, you know what I'm talking about? You go up to somebody with a glove,
Nope.
You lightly like lay it on them. It means like we're to duel now.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's new to me. I just want to say I think it's fun in theory, but goalie actually fighting, like, I put a lot of value into the quality of a fight, not just a fight happening. And
I like it happening.
So the only I like Pete's thing too, doing a little glove slap on somebody, but they would like the CBA or whatever, Players Association, there would be something where there's a limit on how many times you could use it against a goalie, and Jordan Binnington would reach his limit in the first game of the season. 10 guys on the other team would say, "I'm fighting Jordan Binnington."
You have to cap it. No, you only get I feel like you only get one per team or something. And there's got to be a cap for how many times a goalie has to fight. Like, maybe 2 goalie fights per goalie.
I'm signing like John Scott's to 2-way contracts, bringing them up for a day and being like, "Go kick this dude's ass," and then enjoy the San Diego goals.
That would rock. If a team hadn't used it in the last week of the season, they suck. suddenly ticket sales for like the fucking Ducks at the end of the season
Like you just
would be through
you
the
brand
roof.
it as fight night. Like it's fight night with the Anaheim Ducks, and it's John Scott coming out of retirement to just beat up on whoever they're playing in the last day of the week.
John
Those tickets would go
Scott
crazy.
just fucking like wailing on Jacob Markstrom while the offspring is like dance fucker dance at a Ducks game would be
That would be insane.
live band, live offspring.
You need Bruce Buffer there too to just do the fight intro, or I guess Michael Buffer if we're talking about boxing.
Incredible. To wrap up fraud and asshole watch for cup contenders, I got the Panthers, I got the Rangers, and I got the Golden Knights with a screen grab of their cap friendly page.
Okay.
Do you have any
Pretty good.
cup contenders?
Los Angeles Kings, back on my cup contenders list. I love the Kings. Big fans.
Can we do Kings with a picture of Pierre-Luc Dubois
Yes.
or with Jim Hiller? Who would you like there?
Pierre-Luc Dubois and perhaps Quentin Byfield. If you can get a picture of both of them like hugging or holding hands or something, put that there.
We could put him on Fraud Watch, though. Where was this shit the first 2 years of his career?
That's true. Same with Pierre-Luc Dubois. Like, where was this the first half of the season? Bozo.
He was being Pierre-Luc Dubois. I feel like it's way more understandable with Pierre-Luc Dubois than it is with Quentin Byfield. All right. We'll have a graphic of that. We'll see how it looks. And folks, you can always submit yours. There were some questions throughout this. They asked if we'd seen the Hurricanes Pride Night jerseys. Haven't, but I think Sean is efforting. Someone asked if we ever got to the bottom of, was Pete at that Hurricanes game?
Was not.
He was not.
Yeah. And the only reason that we know that for sure is because Nathan McKinnon had a hat trick and I lost my mind and spent all night on the computer making a video about it.
Those are good Pride Night jerseys. The gravy's
Those are
good,
great
Sean.
Pride Night jerseys.
You ready for them?
Yep. Given me.
Hard.
Yeah.
The best.
Nice.
Gay hockey is
those are really
back and
strong.
better than ever.
Big night for gay hockey.
I think these are, I have to look at all of them together, but this is the best Pride jersey I've ever seen in my entire life. The flowers in the Hurricane are fucking money.
But again, it's the lack of, they have to make it look like a fucking practice jersey, which makes me so upset.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
It doesn't cost any more fucking money to add some stripes at the bottom. Does it?
I think
Jersey manufacturers tap in.
probably, I feel like this is just like they have a stockpile of these, so then they can just add the logos to them as opposed to having to order new jerseys.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just have they just give out a bunch of base jerseys for practice jerseys, and then they just do this stuff.
Well,
But I mean, if you really cared about gay hockey, black hockey, etc., you'd put a little more effort, a little more money into it.
that's right. 3 stars. Sean, you got one for me.
Arshdeep Bain, shout out, BC kid or Boston or British Columbia. I mean, made his debut for the Canucks last night. It's like 4th ever player of Punjabi descent to play in the NHL. It was awesome. He was a kid that didn't even get drafted in like the first go of the WHL draft, and so he was undrafted in the NHL. Made his debut. His dad, who was an immigrant from India, was in attendance for his debut. Had a sick like royal blue turban to go with his Canucks jersey. He looked dope. But it was awesome. It was like, it's just cool. Like, I ride for gay hockey, ride for black hockey. Now I'm riding for South Asian hockey. He did a cool, like, a thing that's important. I was reading it to Punjabi culture where like he touched the ground and then touched his heart as he went out to the ice. It was really cool to see. I just love hockey being slightly more diverse.
Hell yeah.
That was great. Also, not only was his dad there, all the other dads were there. It was the dad's trip. Making your debut on the dad's trip
awesome.
is pretty cool.
All the dads are like, ooh, who's the new guy? Hey, Mr. Baines. And Mr. Baines is like, Arshdeep, let's fucking go. Amazing. Shout out. And I just think that, like, Arshdeep is a great first name, but a Baines Canucks jersey, very nice.
Yeah, it's too bad that the Canucks are assholes and spoiled that.
They are assholes right now. Yeah, we don't have any assholes other than the Canucks right now. Should assholes be like a sacred ground, or should that be what we're loading up? I'm imagining asshole watch is what gets a lot of real estate.
That's yeah, and the asshole watch is like a launching pad. You have to exist on asshole watch for a little bit before you get vaulted to asshole.
Yeah. You have to do some. I actually did have somebody in my notes. Let me see. I had somebody in my notes that I was considering sending straight to asshole, but who knows?
It would have to be a really egregious transgression to be vaulted straight to asshole.
Oh, I got it right here, and it's a good segue. Let's get to this was a big hit yesterday on Twitter, by which I mean I tweeted my grade for yesterday's slate, called it the slate grade. Pete said, good idea. Let's do it in the show. So we're going to do a slate grade. It gets you ready for tonight, a quick little run through of the games, and a grade of how good this is. There is an asshole watch in this slate grade. So we got Bruins at Oilers, Stanley Cup final preview. I'm psyched about this game. They're playing again in a couple weeks in Boston. Worst case, I go on a credential, but I would love to go with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Oilers, Same. Bruins, what a party that would be. Boston coming off a galvanizing shootout win Monday. Oilers have won 3 of 4. This is iron, sharpening iron. By far the best game tonight. I have to check to see if we can watch the Sportsnet feed. Will it be, Pete, will it probably be blacked out here?
It'll be blacked out. Yeah.
Do I have to get a fucking VPN?
Or just a little
stream. Oh, wait, never mind. It's a TNT game anyway.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so no bueno.
Solid TNT lineup tonight.
Good TNT lineup.
Flyers, Blackhawks is the early game.
So you got Flyers, Blackhawks.
That's a good TNT lineup.
I mean, it's Connor Bedard. You get to see Connor Bedard on national TV, and then against a fun Flyers team, and then you get a Stanley Cup preview potentially.
Wrong. Feisty Bedard against Torts. We're on hallway Torts watch tonight.
If Bedard hits another Michigan in Torts' fucking face, best game of the night.
We will. So the odds on hallway cam of Torts tonight is minus 750. Bedard's going to do fucking something, and we're going to see Torts in the hallway.
Bedard's first NHL fight coming against John Tortorella would be incredible.
Amazing. And he's like, what? I've had this glove forever. By the way, shout out the chat, people being like, oh yeah, hell yeah. You make the person sniff your glove? You put it, I know that you take the glove and you just like lightly kind of like brush it across their face. It's very insulting. And then you have to shoot each other with guns.
So is that like the medieval bitch slap? Is you just like caress their face with your glove?
I know there was an episode of The Simpsons where Homer found out about it and was very into it, and he kept slapping people with the glove. And the song was Glove Slap to the tune of Love Shack.
Hell yeah!
And they were like, glove slap, I don't take crap. The Simpsons. You got Sabres at Canadians.
I was going to say that's like the opposite of a face wash. You have a face wash as like a scrum thing, as a scrum staple, and the opposite of that is you just like caress their face with your glove, and that indicates that you want a duel.
Yeah. Hey, feel my knuckles, loser, and then you go like that to their face. Sabres coming off Mike Harrington trading the whole team. Canadians have lost 4 or 5. If the Sabres lose, they might just go straight to assholes. They might leap past asshole watch.
I don't know if this makes me an asshole. I am now full blown Sabres Macklin Celebrini. Like I'm all the way in. It's over for the Sabres. You might as well just start losing. Don't actually try to lose games, obviously, but
Sean too much ground to make up.
Is Sean on poor sport watch?
Oh, not fuck ground. It's lottery season, baby.
Yeah.
So
fair.
This is a Felger thing.
Well, I mean, they're going to gain ground in the lottery too, but
he's used to losing, and losing becomes okay.
I am used to losing. It's not okay, but they lose. Buffalo's a city of losers.
It's not good behavior.
You might as well get another first overall pick out of it.
Leafs at Coyotes. Coyotes have lost 10 in a row, meaning the Leafs start the day on asshole watch, because if they lose to the Coyotes, they're for sure assholes, and that's hilarious.
And they're going to lose the Arizona Coyotes.
Worth pointing out that they have
Leafs
not
suck
lost
against the Coyotes.
They do, historically, especially in Toronto. They have not beaten the Coyotes in Toronto in like 22 years.
But this is at
This is in Arizona, so
Mullet.
it's different. Yeah.
Worth pointing out, the Leafs have not lost since Morgan Riley had his little temper tantrum. So galvanizing bit of poor sportsmanship from Morgan Riley.
galvanizing tantrum. And you got the Blue Jackets at the Ducks. Bounce back Werenski. I have placed a wager on Zach Werenski over a point tonight.
Don't love that, but I hope it happens for his sake.
Just back in the Coyotes real quick. Austin Matthews is 100% scoring tonight. He scores like every time he's in Arizona because he's eventually going to be an Arizona Coyote. So Coyotes with parlay.
Also, he also scores every night. He
that's also true. But so maybe 2 goals tonight because he's.
We have yet to talk about like Austin Matthews 70 goals, like very much a possibility.
I'm starting to see a lot of, is Austin Matthews the best American scorer? Is he the best Maple Leaf? And I'm like, oh, imagine not having done that like 2 years ago.
Right.
That is.
I remember we were in California like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I tweeted out like, I think Austin Matthews is going to be the best American player ever, and everybody was like, oh, Patrick Kane, oh, and it's like, yeah, I'm not saying like obviously he's not as accomplished as Patrick Kane, but he's so good.
I saw a program recently with people that I trust, sports people I trust, asking, where is Mahomes all time among quarterbacks? Is he like approaching, I forget what name they threw out there, but I was like, everybody knows Mahomes is either the first or second best quarterback ever. We should be well past, is he, I don't know, is he Ben Roethlisberger? Is he Peyton Manning? Is he this or whatever? Like, he is probably the best.
QB's ranked Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, and Quentin Byfield.
No, QB's. Oh, I like that.
Took me a second, but I love that.
That was very good. QB's ranked. Yeah, I was gonna like fire off a power play QB, but right now I like Quentin Byfield more than I like any defenseman. I'll tell you who's not a good power play QB. Brock Faber, dicking around back there.
0 points, fucking bum.
It's
still stunning that he had no points in that Wild Canucks game.
I'll tell you, the heat is too hot. You want to hear my Brock Faber impression? I feel very bad that we're making fun of a player, but you want to hear my Brock Faber impression?
Yes.
No, turn him off.
Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights.
Off. I am so. I said this the other day to I think both of you. I really can't have Trump be president again because we need to at least be able to like have that far enough away that we can like use a meme like that. Off. Turn him off. If he's president, it's too real. So do your civic duty. Subscribe to What Chaos on YouTube. Hey, we finally talked politics again,
And we got a subscriber.
We got 1 subscriber.
Yes,
Hell
we did.
yes.
Ooh, elbow grease.
Shout out to that 1 subscriber. I don't know who you are, but shout out to you.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to have, I never gave a grade for the slate. The slate tonight, A-.
What? That's way too high.
No,
Crazy.
I'm always, so not to spoil, it's always going to be an A or an A-.
Okay.
It's my 5 bags of popcorn. I'm always going to give it a great grade. Because I love hockey. I almost fucking thought about doing the bit with the Quentin Byfield goal, but people would have lost their minds. I was going to do the congratulations for fucking stopping the game for a minute and a half while everybody cried about your fucking precious goal. I like hockey. Make a fucking play instead. You almost lost your stick and the game had to stop because you scored a goal. I like watching hockey. This sucks.
Get back to the action.
Yeah, but then there's too many ways people would have been stupid about that, so I just left that alone. But Quentin Byfield, if you got any more of those goals, I'll take it. One last thought. I did consider throwing Zach Werenski into the trade discussion to just be like, if you're a team You give the Blue Jackets a call after last night and be like, hey, probably not going to happen, but does he want a fresh start?
Stonk's never been lower.
Yeah. Like we'll take a great defenseman who's 26 years old, locked up for the next 6-7 years or whatever. That goal was really bad. We'll give you a second round pick for him, straight up, out the door. Golden Knights are going to get Zach Werenski and circumvent the cap with him. That'd be the best.
I hate that goal came against the Blue Jackets, both because I saw the responses oh, it doesn't count, came against the Blue Jackets, and because haven't they been through enough already? The Blue Jackets are having a miserable year. They don't need Quinton Byfield rubbing his nuts all over their face.
I think it's good for the league. He's got to rub his nuts against somebody.
It's true. I just wish it was against somebody less depressing already.
What if it was against Jake Wallman?
Oh my God.
It would have broken the internet.
The only thing that was missing from Byfield's goal, the celebration, there wasn't much in the way of a really grand celebration.
So I suggested this, didn't really get much feedback or buy-in from the boys, so I dropped it, but I was going to do a player safety video on the Morgan Rielly thing, cue the get off the Maple Leafs, and I was going to have way too much shit going on in it, and after Grieg scored the goal, I was going to have the Wallman doing the gritty and just a bunch of shit that would make Leafs fans as angry as possible. I've wanted to drop Jake Wallman doing the gritty into a lot of things. And I don't know, maybe I bring Jake Wallman into this Byfield highlight somehow. We need more people doing the gritty, but we don't. We need Jake Wallman doing the gritty during more things.
We need Nikita Zadorov doing the gritty during more things.
Dude, that was such a fucking bad gritty.
I guarantee that was the first time he's ever tried to do the gritty in his life.
It's like when this happens all the time. It used to happen to me when people would try to do what's this thing, the Fortnite dance, where you're kind of humping and you're swinging. Yeah, that
Flossing,
thing.
Yeah.
When people try to mimic it, as I just did, it looks so fucking. You look so dumb, and it doesn't look. You're kind of doing the Running Man. It looks horrible. That's what Zadorov's gritty looked like.
You ever see the video of the little kid who his mom was yelling at him in the kitchen? I guess he was doing the flossing. He was doing the flossing at school or something and got in trouble. And his mom was disciplining him and telling him to do you want to do the Fortnite dance? Go ahead and do the Fortnite dance. Was yelling at him at home. And he was just bawling his eyes out doing the saddest floss you've ever seen in your life. It was so funny.
My thing with the Zadorov was his gritty was the kid, the line of the kids dabbing.
Yes, yeah.
That's they're all doing these ultra dabs, and the kid walks up and is like, that was Zadorov. Trash ass gritty. All right. Well, tomorrow we will recap an incredible slate of games. Bruins Oilers. I feel like we should do something for it, but you're sick, and I don't know what we would do. So get on the YouTube if you haven't. Like Spike if you haven't. Press every button you can. It helps us a lot, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.